this similar activity is occurring for every cell of your body. Taking a breath, your heart beating, nerves firing. There are going to be two systems that control the body: the nervous system, endocrine system. Endocrine. Do I have protein for that? I sure do. Guess what? Now, some of those other proteins that were in the pictures, all right? Like, for example, that receptor protein, the last slide. All right, so a receptor protein, and I'm just using my membrane here, okay? So, receptor protein. Now, this protein has a particular shape. Now, your body, it's going to be full of molecules. Okay? Floating around. Because every cell has something called extracellular fluid that has all the stuff that a cell is going to need to function. Now, in this case, think about your hormones, because that's what the endocrine system produces. Do any of these out here fit into my protein that I've drawn? Huh? What? Yeah. So, if it fits into the shape of my protein, now, this is a receptor protein, okay? What it's going to do, it's going to set off a series of reactions in that protein, and inside the cell, it's going to move forward to begin to change the activities of the cell, which is what hormones do. So that's another type of protein that is in our plasma membrane. We had the ones that were just simply channel proteins. And as long as the molecule fits into the channel, it'll move it. And do you remember how under the channel ones, we had like where it moved one, moved two in the same direction, or one in one direction, one in the other? That's what this would be doing. All right? Now, this plasma membrane that exists, it has the ability for the movement of materials in another way, not just the use of a protein. Do you guys happen to remember
osmosis? Less on the outside, greater on the inside.
Yes, no, maybe?
Kind of.
Okay. What is it? What's diffusion? What's the definition?
The non-power transport of like something through the membrane. I'm
going to make your terminology easier. All right? I'm going to just kind of narrow that down for you. This movement of a particle, that's something, all right? Maybe it's an ion. Which way of movement does each of these move? In other words, what direction does each?
Go from larger to smaller.
Let's go with some different terminology. Let's go. Movement goes from an area of high concentration to low. This requires no energy. Anytime you have to go from low to high, it requires energy. My ATP powered pumps. Okay, so definition of diffusion, movement of a particle. What's my definition of osmosis?
Movement concentration.
It's going to be our diffusion of water. So the diffusion of water across a selectively permeable membrane. What part of this is my selectively permeable membrane? Thought he was going to say it.
Cell membrane.
My cell membrane. My plasma membrane is my selectively permeable membrane. So, this bilayer is selectively permeable. It's got all this stuff embedded into it, okay? It's got cholesterols embedded into it to give it structure. It's got the stuff that was acting like, okay, if it came from one of my phospholipids, all right, and it was coming off in my little sugar chain, all right, and if it was extending off of my phospholipid, that was a glycolipid, the one that is for cell communication, cell identification, all right? If I had the protein that was embedded, that had the sugar chain coming off of it, that was my glycoprotein. Sometimes they'll function, a lot of times, in receptors, receiving something to let it move inside the cell. So this selectively permeable membrane, all right, my selectively permeable membrane, my SPM, okay, has the ability to control what can simply pass through these phospholipids. If there is a molecule that is small enough and can make it through the structure, because remember, these are hydrophilic, these are hydrophobic. I've got this fat component that's in here, okay? So this molecule has to be able to overcome these structures. And if it can, and it has a whole bunch of them out here on the outside, they want to go from the area of high concentration to low. And they will. This is a way that we can move materials into a cell so that cell can function. So that cell can carry out making proteins. So that cell can carry out cell division. That cell can carry out making its product, whatever the case might be. Because surrounding this entire cell, surrounding the entire cell is something called extracellular fluid. Some areas of the body have more extracellular fluid than others, depending upon the cell type. Your skin cells have extracellular fluid, but not a lot. Think about that. Skin makes it. Did y'all know it makes us waterproof? That is so cool. So all these, of course, today, beautiful sunshine, and I'm in the building all day long. Yesterday, Sunday, Saturday, just this gray, felt like I was in Seattle, Washington. All right? Thinking it was never going to sunshine again. All right? But I knew I was waterproof and I could walk out in it. That when I went out in the rain, it just wouldn't fill me up and I would go poof. Okay, even though I paid $10 to see that. But extracellular fluid is more around some tissues than others. Now, that would be my diffusion, because that is movement of a particle. Now, osmosis. I loved it. They made that movie, what was it, Osmosis Jones or something? Should have been diffusion. They had it all wrong. But Hollywood didn't, you know, they didn't consult me. All right, they didn't ask my input. So, hey, I just get to tell it to everybody else. Now, we're animal cells. All right? For the most part, our idea right now, as you sit here with me in class, is this of an animal cell, where I've got a nucleus, got my DNA, chromosomes, got my endoplasmic reticulum, I've got smooth reticulum, I've got Golgi bodies, all that sort of stuff. Okay? Now, we do not have this. We are not a plant cell or a bacteria. Please don't leave my class. Saying we have a cell wall. We do not. Repeat with me. We do not have a cell wall. We do not have a cell wall. The only thing we have is a plasma membrane.